guilty in a murder trial for having rap text presented as the only evidence in court. This is exactly what is happening more and more often in the UK, but many experts believe that this is racially motivated. Drug trafficking, clashes between rival street gangs, knife fights, topics that definitely appear in rap songs. What has been the case for a long time in the USA can also increasingly become fatal for rappers in Great Britain. In recent years, more and more drill videos, a subgenre of the trap, have been used as evidence in court. The provocative rap lyrics are presented by prosecutors as autobiographical confessions for crimes, threats of violence, or evidence of gang membership. The British news broadcaster BBC has investigated around 70 trials in the UK in which drill was used as evidence, most of which were allegations of murder. The vast majority of the accused were young people of color. And that is precisely where a problem lies. Some lawyers and defense lawyers are of the opinion that this does not allow the defendants to have a fair trial. Abena Owusu-Bempah, an expert on criminal evidence at the London School of Economics, believes many prosecutors would take advantage of this to reinforce pre-existing stereotypes about young black men. And police, public prosecutors and courts do not recognize the artistic value of rap music or do not appreciate it. Studies in the US would have suggested that the use of rap evidence is highly biased because people view rap more negatively than other genres of music. Owusu-Bempah's research shows that the vast majority of cases where texts have been presented as evidence do not indict the crime itself. Instead, they are cited as evidence of bad character, such as propensity for violence or gang membership. Because just writing song lyrics and recording the corresponding video is not a criminal offense, unless it is a specific death threat or unauthorized possession of a weapon in the video. Even so, such videos would be viewed in court as evidence of violence. Owusu-Bempah said while other violent art forms such as films, books or video games would not be viewed that way. Let's come to an example from the year 2019. In London, there is an argument between several young people, and a man is killed in the subsequent rampage. Thereupon 5 people are charged with murder and put on trial. 3 of them are just 16 years old, and not all of them were involved in the actual stabbing. The public prosecutor wanted to prove that they were jointly guilty of the murder because the attack was triggered by a conflict between rival street gangs, according to the court. This is exactly where their music came into play. In a drill video that one of the defendants uploaded to YouTube, he rapped about his hatred of the rival gang, including a deadly gang shootout. The lyrics were presented in court as evidence, and all 5 defendants were found guilty of murder. It was precisely this judgment that raised questions among experts and defense lawyers. Is it fair that a musical subculture is used as evidence of involvement in a crime? In contrast to other genres of music, do you encourage drill to engage in acts of violence more often? UK drill defenders argue that it is an art form that cannot be taken literally. After all, Mick Jagger sang about how he stuck a knife in your throat, which does not mean that he was involved in a gang. For the UK police and law enforcement agency, instantly sharing drill videos on social media means violent confrontations can escalate faster. But I'm just thinking about another song. I shot the sheriff, but I didn't shoot the deputy is not a confession. Otherwise, there would be many musicians in prison. But because gangs are increasingly using social media to promote gang culture, and because of this, the police started monitoring drill videos. The BBC was able to find out that the London police had over 500 videos with potentially harmful content removed from social media since November 2016. They would intervene to stop some of the violence on the streets of London. The question arises, do you want to suppress drill music or even censor free expression? No, according to the police. We are not here to suppress drill music. It's okay to use it as a valve, but think about what to say, they say. But that's where drill artists feel restricted. The music would allow them to express their feelings about poverty, crime, and the trauma they see around them. After all, many drill rappers come from milieus where violence and drugs are part of everyday life. Drill would help them to come to terms with that, and maybe even start a career. But it is precisely this that is restricted by the police. And I must say about that topic, we have something similar here, not that it's used as evidence in the court, but I mean the music. There's what we call Deutsch rap, German rap. The language used there and what they are singing there is absolutely not my cup of tea. But being involved in voluntary politics most of my life, I really see that you get kids off the street by making music, that they use this as a valve. Of course, there might be some limits reached someday where it's not okay to publish this anymore. But the general thing, even with the language, I'm not listening to this music, the content, although I do like rap. I like a lot of various kinds of music, from opera to rap, everything is fine. But it helps the kids getting off the street and even start a career sometimes. Or at least learn how to deal with yourself. Learn to have a structured day. Learn to stick to rules. And that's all. A lot of positive from this music, even if you don't agree with the music itself. I just wanted to bring that in to enter that into the topic as well, because we were just there. And the best example of this is the British rapper Digger D, a member of the London gang 1011 who was in prison for various violent crimes. However, since rap texts were also used as evidence in his trial, this has had a long-term impact on his music career. In addition to his prison sentence, he was the first musician in British history to receive a so-called criminal behavior order, a court order that prevented him from to talk about certain things in his texts and to represent certain places in his videos. And the rule goes even further. He may not publish music or videos without informing the police beforehand. If the music breaks the terms, they can remove his music and arrest him. Ethan Quinn, a graduate at the University of Manchester, is concerned about this development. Drill is indeed a very violent form of rap, but it is precisely this provocative behavior of the rappers that is part of the popular genre and cannot be taken literally. That has no place in the courtroom, he says. She says. That is why she launched the Prosecution Rap Research Project to point out the dangers she sees in relying on drill and rap for court statements. Of course, there are isolated cases in which drill incited violence, but in most cases there is no connection between a rap and an act of violence. Violence and guns are common themes in rap music, but prosecutors often misunderstand that and associate it with a criminal personality, Quinn said. And rap is a complex and encrypted thing, but a very provocative type of language that has been shown to be extremely popular with a young audience. Another thing Owusu Bempah finds worrying is that the rap evidence doesn't even have to be new. He recalls a case where 2-year-old video evidence of bad character was presented. The defendant was only 14 years old in the video, and she did not see that it was representative of the character or state of mind of the then 16-year-old. She is therefore working on recommendations to regulate the use of rap evidence in serious crime trials in order to prevent misjudgments. Judges need to consider the context of the evidence more and examine evidence much more thoroughly, she says. She hopes that by raising public awareness, what she calls this detrimental and racist practice of using rap evidence in criminal trials in the UK will eventually end. And it really is a very sensitive topic, and I don't think, from my personal point of view, their music texts, well, I don't see that as evidence. I'm sorry. But it's a different system over there than we have here. And I really haven't gone too far into that. Character is one thing you need here more for the topic of how high will be the sentence. With a bad childhood and all this stuff like this. We had a lot of discussions here, but I'm quite not following the legal approach there. No, I must say. But I'm curious how that's going to proceed in the future. And if you want to stay informed, please subscribe to my channel. Auf Wiedersehen.